Hi, I'm Zach. I'm a 31-year-old vegan singer-songwriter here in Missouri, and in today's video, I'm going to talk about why I'm glad I stopped drinking. So, earlier this week, I was working at my job at a gas station, and someone was buying alcohol, one of those really strong drinks with like 13% alcohol or something, and as he was checking out, I made a joke with my employee or something and said, last time I drank or bought a drink like that, I got ran over by a car and woke up in the hospital. Which literally happened. I literally almost drank myself to death. Well, maybe not the literal part, but I almost drank myself to death. Not by the drinking of too much, which probably would have happened if I would have continued to drink, but by what I was doing and the poor choices that the alcohol was making, that the alcohol was inspiring me to do. It wasn't making me do it. It was my own fault. And so I've been through some stuff with alcohol, and I want to talk about it. And let's start with that story, where years ago, before I moved back in with my parents' house, whenever I was living on my own, barely getting by, I was behind on rent, and my roommate was picking up the slack. I still owe my roommate money, but I'm making that a whole nother video. I plan on paying him back. And so I was behind on rent, and I was still striving for music, and I was working very hard, and I was going to a place called PDM to do band practice as many days as possible. And on one particular day, after work, I didn't eat much at all that day. So for the longest time during this phase, I barely had any money, and I would save most of my money for food for whenever I had my son, so he would have enough food. But for weeks on end, I didn't have food. I would just eat dough and dried fruit that I got from the food pantry. But like pizza dough, I would cook it. I would make pizzas at Papa John's, because I worked at a pizza place, and so I would cook these vegan pizzas, and that's all I would have, which it was very low on nutrients. It was just like mushrooms, spinach, onions, all the vegan stuff you can have at Papa John's, but we didn't have vegan cheese or anything, which wouldn't have added much nutrients anyway. But basically, it was one of those stretches where for, I think, a week at a time or so, that's all I had. And I think that day, I was so tired of eating the same thing that wasn't even giving me the nutrients I needed, that I barely ate anything at all that day. I might have had one tiny pizza with like barely any toppings on it and didn't even finish it. But it was the end of the night. It was like, I don't know, 2 a.m. or something maybe, or did we get off earlier? I can't remember, but I know that we would close, and then sometimes after we closed, we would go and to the practice space and either play music or just drink. And on this evening, we were drinking and playing cards, and I didn't have the best relationship with one of the band members. I'm not gonna mention any names, but I mean, we were like best friends for a while because we spent so much time together, and we were both the lead singer of the band, and there was some conflict, some creative directions that we both wanted to go, and he was very controlling, and I kind of just let him take control of the band from the beginning, because I felt like he was a little bit better than me. Like, he was a better singer, he was instrumental, he could play drums, guitar a little bit better than me. The only thing I had was originality and maybe just a little bit more like spunk or energy whenever I performed. But even that he had. So for the longest time, I felt like he was just a little bit better than me. So I kind of just let him take the wheel, and then he turned into the predominant singer, and it seemed like it was mostly his songs that we were playing and practicing, and so I built up resentment. And there were also times where like I would be singing or we'd be practicing, I could just not hit the right note on guitar that he wanted me to hit, because he was very controlling and saying like it has to be this way, it has to be that way, this way. And I mean, he was better than me, and it was good. Like his musical vision was good, the things he was going for were good, but I couldn't always hit them, and either vocally or with guitar. And so one or two times, I can't remember how many times, but I know definitely once for sure he like screamed at me and for missing a note. And there were just a bunch of other things that happened, that like him being narcissistic or controlling, and me just letting it slide again and again and again. And this isn't the first time this happened, where I got drunk and basically I let all my frustrations out on him, and I was blackout drunk and I don't remember doing it, but I got violent towards him. And each time I tried to choke him, I actually choked him. For some reason, it's very scary. This is what alcohol does to you. It brings out the darkness inside. And so the first time this happened, where I got blackout drunk and choked him, I was blackout drunk, and I very, very vaguely remember choking him. It's like I very, very vaguely remember the moment where we were arguing in his car as we're driving away from PDM. I don't even remember what we're arguing about, why I'm so angry at him specifically at this time, because each time this happened, we were cool. It's like we were just drinking and partying or whatever, and then it came out. And what's weird is I've never really been an aggressive drunk. Even whenever I get blackout drunk around anybody else, I'm fine, but for some reason around this one guy, I'm not. And so I think it's because of all the resentment and everything, and alcohol probably would have made me that way around other people eventually, or maybe I just don't get blackout drunk around other people enough. But anyway, the first time it happened, I choked him, he kicked me out of his car, and then I came to, I was sober, I was pushing a shopping cart down the wrong way towards my house in a highway. So I know I was trying to go home. I don't know why I was pushing a shopping cart. But then I came to, like, sobering up, like actually sobering up and be like, wait, where am I? Why am I pushing this shopping cart? I'm going the wrong direction down the highway towards my house. And so that was a bad experience. And so the second time this happened, we were playing cards at the practice space, and then whenever I woke up, I was in a hospital, and there was a cut in my stomach because they just did surgery on me. There was a cut on the back of my head because they like stapled me up. And so it turned out that I tried to choke him again, but this time I was choking him while standing right outside his driver door, and his door was open, and he put the car in reverse, and his door hit me in the back of my head, hit the ground, and then his car ran me over. And so I don't know exactly what happened that night. I know it was, I mean, I should have never gotten blackout drunk. I should have never gotten to that point. But it was he was egging me on in certain ways, and like certain things were happening. I used to have an audio recording of this on my phone. It was like a 10-hour long recording. But then my phone got stolen because later in my life, months later, I was drinking again. But anyway, so either way, that I'll definitely take most responsibility. I mean, we were both drunk. A rocky relationship, toxic partnership, and then I drank whenever I shouldn't have, and I really just shouldn't have been friends with him. or in that band. But the consequences happened, and I almost died because of it. And so I woke up in the hospital and didn't even know what happened the night before. I was like, what happened? And then a police officer comes in and he's like, hey, so do you want to press charges? Because apparently the police took him in and were trying to get him for like murder, like something manslaughter or something, because they weren't sure if I was going to make it or something. But as soon as I woke up, I'm like, what? No, he's fine. He's he's a good guy. Like I was still in the state of mind that he was like my best friend and stuff. And even now, I wouldn't have pressed charges because, I mean, of course, I also assaulted him. Apparently from his story, but I believe him because I vaguely remember the first time I tried to choke him. Whenever I got blackout drunk, I vaguely remember that, even though he had a way with saying words and egging people on and just pushing them to their point. But still, I need to take responsibility, even though like I've always thought that I would be the last person to ever do that to anyone. I always thought that I was the most peaceful person in the group. I was the vegan in the group. I was the most easily to get along with people, but then alcohol kind of just turned me into this person. That, and also me allowing myself to get in the situation where resentment built up, rather than me just actually doing what I wanted to do musically, and not just being with him in a band just because he's better than me and it gives me a better chance. I should have just done what I wanted to do from the heart. And so I'm in the hospital telling the officer, no, it's fine. And then he calls me and tells me what happened. And I believe it. I still believe it. I'm sure his story is more like on his side. Like he probably pushed me a little bit. It wasn't me just randomly blowing up and trying to choke him. But either way, that's what happened. And then I got kicked out of the band very passively. Like he didn't exactly tell me that I was kicked out, and we had a gig coming up, and so 2-3 weeks after this incident, I was in the hospital for like a week or two, and then I just got out. I could barely walk, but I wanted to play that gig. I really wanted to play that gig because music was like a huge part of my life. It still is. And so I showed up to the gig ready to play, but he didn't tell me that I wasn't going to play until after I showed up. And he's like, you know, I really think that we should just not play together for a while. And I think it might have just been hard for him to straight up tell me that he didn't want me in the band anymore, or I'm not sure what that is. It's weird. That's out of character for him because usually he's very direct, and he it's almost like he takes pleasure in being an asshole at times and just being direct and telling people straight up things that they don't want to hear. So it was weird that it was almost like he was trying to mess with me even more by not telling me until the last moment. But that might just be in my head. I don't know. Either way, that's what happened. I show up to the gig ready to play, even though I hadn't been at practice, and we kind of been estranged and distant ever since the incident. So I wasn't really sure what to expect, but I wanted to play. And I'm pretty sure I've been texting them saying, hey, so is the show still on, but no response. So it, of course, bothers me whenever that type of stuff happens. And that's something that I did like about him, is that he was direct and straightforward. And that time it was weird, and he wasn't. And so I show up, and then he's like, yeah, you're not gonna play. I think we should just not play together for a while. And then that's whenever it really just hit, where I'm like, yep, okay, we're done. And that was one of the first big moments in my life where I realized that alcohol consumption had really messed up my life. Although that was a good thing. As far as not being in that band anymore, that was a good thing. Not me freaking out, getting blackout drunk, and assaulting a band member and then getting ran over and dying. That is not a good thing. But me no longer being in that band actually allowed me to start chasing my own solo stuff with music, my own pursuit of my dream and vision again, and it allowed me to do what I really wanted to do with music, which is great. And I actually did stop drinking for like a week or two after that, and while I was recovering, and I was planning on not drinking anymore, but then I started drinking again and smoking and everything, because I quit smoking then too. It was like I got out of the hospital and I was like, it's already been a week that I've been in the hospital. Why don't I just keep this sobriety going? And so that's what I did. Except weed, though, I think. No, I even tried to stop weed, I'm pretty sure. And so eventually I broke, and then I started drinking again. And then this is around this time is whenever I lost my phones. I lost like 3 phones within 1 or 2 months. And actually, I also forgot to mention, for the timeline's sake, before I got ran over by a car, I lost a guitar. And I lost 2 guitars this year. Not this year, but the year I'm talking about, where I was drinking a lot and had a problem. But the first guitar I lost was on St. Patrick's Day. I went downtown to street perform, as I usually did. I would street perform a lot. And people were tipping me in drinks, like full on 6-packs. I remember that. Kitty, would you please stop shaking it? Hey, look at the camera and tell them you're sorry. All right. Anyway, I was street performing downtown, and then I got blackout drunk, and I woke up the next morning, and the microwave plate was on the ground next to me. I fell asleep on my couch instead of my bed. I don't even know how I got home. There was like a couple slices of bread on my chest, and then I woke up like half dazed, like, okay, I'm home. But then I'm like, wait, where's my guitar? And so I don't know what happened to my guitar, but I posted on Reddit, and then someone sent me a video of me later that night playing one of my songs, half drunk, slurring, out of key, completely horribly, as I've done before. Just horrible performance. And that was the last time my guitar was seen. So I don't know what happened. I probably left my guitar somewhere, or someone just took it from me whenever I was too inebriated. But someone took me home, so I don't even know what happened that night. And that's absolutely scary whenever you don't even know what you did or what happened the night before. And so I lost a guitar that meant a lot to me. And then months later, the whole incident happened. And then months later after that, as I started to drink a lot and drink again, I was downtown again playing music, and then I lost another guitar in a very similar fashion, where this time it wasn't as blackout drunk, but it was drunk enough to where I didn't even really remember where I set my guitar at until later that night or the morning, where I was like, oh yeah, I brought my guitar downtown. What did I do with it? And then, so at that point, I was just down to one, because I had 3 guitars. I had 2 acoustic guitars and then 1 electric, which I no longer have any of those guitars, because that 1 electric was actually a girlfriend's guitar who she gave it to me, but then after we broke up, she texted me like a year later, like, hey, can I have that guitar back? And I was like, yeah, that's fine, because at that point I already had a new acoustic, and that's my main instrument anyway is acoustic electric. But anyway, those were other examples of me just losing stuff whenever I was drinking way too much, which is why I'm glad I don't drink anymore. That, and also the fact that around that point in my life, I was working a lot. I was working on music a lot, and I was working as a manager at Papa John's. But I wasn't making enough money. And like I said, I didn't have enough money for food. And I would spend the money I had, the very little money I had, on alcohol at the end of the night, which adds up. You know, $20 a day, 5 days a week is $100 a week. That's $100 a week I could have been spending on food. But I spent it on alcohol. And so here I am now, completely turned around my life. I mean, I live at my parents' house, but I'm fortunate enough that they're helping me and that I'm actually saving money now. And I no longer smoke or drink or even eat processed foods or even drink caffeine. So I'm absolutely saving all of my money, except the money for child support and insurance or all the other deductions that they take from my paycheck. But every other penny is going towards savings, besides the small amount I've made to invest in like my YouTube channel and music and like Chat GPT and CapCut and certain things that I've bought that will help me edit videos and just make better music and videos and things like that. But I have completely turned my life around, and now I'm working at this gas station, and I see other people coming in buying alcohol day in day out right where I was, and I can see how it affects them, and it makes me look back and makes me grateful that I'm not in that position anymore. It also makes me feel sorry for them, because I know how hard that is, and I know, and on all spectrums of it too, from the people that come in and buy shots even in the morning, to people who just seem to have it under control. They're like more well dressed, but they're coming in and buying 30 packs like every other day. It's like, it's still the feeling of drinking and needing to drink. It's like a bottomless cup of never feeling satisfied, and then you're always depressed, and then you're spending all this money on it, and then you're feeling like crap, and you don't even know how bad you feel until how bad you felt drinking until you go sober, and then you start to feel really good, and you have all this extra energy, and you realize how much energy and how much life potential you've just been wasting, and money you've been wasting on something that's not serving you at all. It's only destroying you. And so I'm very grateful. Every single time someone checks out alcohol, I think about, not every single time, but many times I think about how I'm glad that I no longer drink. And then I look at the total and how expensive it is, and I'm like, I'm really glad that I no longer drink. I'm saving all this money. I have all this energy. I actually have more dopamine and more stable, balanced emotions. And I can wake up early. I have energy throughout the day. I know I got these bags under my eyes. People always like to point that out. I don't know why I have those. I've had these in my entire life, okay? I think it's a stress thing, or I don't know. I sleep enough, I eat right, I feel great. Even if I don't look great, whatever. I look like I've been drinking all night. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what I look like. I know how I feel. I have the energy to make 5 videos a day, as I have been. And I wouldn't have that energy if I was drinking. So I'm very glad that I no longer drink. Do you drink? Do you have a problem drinking? Or have you quit drinking? Leave a comment down below. Thank you for watching. For the animals! Woo!